Hello, everyone. Thanks for checking out our series, The Truth About LifeWise. Today, we are going to discuss discrimination, bullying, and ostracizing kids. You can find more information and supporting documentation at parentsagainst.lifewise.online or join us on Facebook for even more resources and support in protecting your local school district. There are many Christian interpretations of the gospel. What most agree on is the belief that we are to love and accept each other as equals and without judgment. When a group claims to be teaching character development through Bible education, one would hope that this is what they mean. Unfortunately, the truth is that LifeWise is an evangelical ministry, and they teach a very different interpretation of the gospel than most. Their brand of fear-based Christianity has a judgmental and discriminatory belief system that affects every facet of their organization, from how the teachers and adults interact with each other to the curriculum itself. The children being targeted are already dealing with enough in-grouping, pressure, and bullying because of their age range. This sort of doctrine only serves to make things worse by teaching hate and discrimination. It groups people against each other and can do irreparable damage to young minds. These years are vital to social and emotional development. They will shape who our children grow up to be. We would like you to please proceed with caution, as some of these testimonials may be upsetting and/or difficult to read. They are heartbreaking. We're going to start with discrimination. As expected of such an extreme evangelical ministry, LifeWise is very open about their discrimination towards the LGBTQIA+ community. Transaggression and homophobia run rampant throughout their belief statements, policies, and internal documents, as well as being both referenced and alluded to throughout their curriculum. Research has shown us time and time again how ineffective teaching abstinence is, and yet LifeWise still has an unhealthy and dangerous doctrine regarding heterosexual sexual purity. Let's take a look. Starting with LifeWise beliefs and policies, the following is pulled directly from the organization's team member conduct, which states, as a LifeWise team member, you are expected to adhere to the following personal responsibilities and standards of conduct. All teachers, volunteers, and employees are required to agree to this document when submitting an application. A few highlights include the gift of sex only being enjoyed exclusively within the confines of marriage between one man and one woman. That a person's gender is a gift from God and should not be altered. And that team members are strictly prohibited from, quote, any sexual, otherwise impure, or unjust relationship. Even after all of that, LifeWise goes one step further and sets out very strict policies regarding opposite genders working together. It seems as though they have no faith in their members to control themselves and avoid temptation. This is a very unhealthy perspective that men and women are incapable of any other kind of relationship but inappropriate or sexual. Instructions are very clear that should an instance arise in which these guidelines cannot be complied with, then each employee's supervisor must be contacted immediately. LifeWise blatantly refuses to acknowledge anyone identifying as anything but cis-normative and goes as far as to include the following policy about using the bathroom. Any student or employee that doesn't adhere to these bigoted rules can be disciplined or removed from a LifeWise program altogether. Let's move on to what LifeWise actually teaches. This is the guidance that LifeWise provides its teachers within regards to discussing difficult topics with students. It has been pulled directly from page 17 of the LifeWise Academy Teacher Handbook. Some of the topics include gender identity, sexual orientation, sex before marriage, ethnicity, and other religions. In addition to the previous handbook reference, there is another more detailed document entitled Difficult Questions from Students, which provides us with a much deeper look at some of LifeWise's beliefs on the subjects. Beliefs such as members of the LGBTQIA+ community are sinning, that it is not okay to have sex before you are married, and what God would think if you changed your gender. Quote, "The Bible teaches that God made us male or female, no matter how we feel or how confused we are, and we should trust and respect God's perfect design and how he created us." More from the Difficult Questions document, including the guidance that we should try to live peaceably with those who do not follow God, but if faced with a choice to obey God or your parents, you should always obey God first. That a mother and father who got divorced have both sinned against God, and that a single mom who lives with her boyfriend is also sinning. There are many references throughout the curriculum to marriage being between one man and one woman. Along with these references, there are also sensitive subjects such as suicide, divorce, prostitution, consummating marriages, and submission, subjects that are inappropriate to be discussing with a child, especially without their parents being present. Even LifeWise employees themselves have no problem openly acknowledging their group's discrimination, as seen in this message received from one of their teachers in Ohio's Allen East School District. When asked if LifeWise was an affirming group for the LGBTQIA+ community, a LifeWise teacher replied, "I confidently would say it is not. God created man and woman in his image, and that is how God designed marriage. The rainbow is our promise from God to never flood the earth again." Joel Penton loves to claim they don't teach or promote discrimination or bullying, as seen from this recent NPR interview. He can be found saying similar statements in several other interviews as well. The separation that LifeWise makes between themselves and believers of another faith or non-believers is very clear. This is taken from the Statement of Faith, which again, every employee must agree to when applying. It clearly states that they believe that all people are inherently corrupt and can only be saved through Jesus, no matter what they do, and if not, eternal damnation is the punishment. How exactly is that character development? This rhetoric is a baseline belief of evangelicalism and inherently leads to the mentality of grouping people and us versus them. To think that teaching young children this kind of dogma doesn't cause division between them is just plain irresponsible and simply incorrect. Allow us to have LifeWise themselves show you what ostracizing others because they don't follow Jesus actually looks like. Despite Joel's lies, not only do they teach it, they also actively use it as a promotional material. This is a post from the Facebook page for Continental's LifeWise Academy. Pictured is a drawing of two figures. One is smaller and labeled with the words, "no muscle," and "ew." This figure represents someone who believes God is fake, per the illustration. The other figure represents someone who believes in God, and this figure is large and muscular and labeled with words like correct and big muscle. In the next few moments, you'll see a clip of a real LifeWise classroom. The adults are acting on characters, and the child who goes to church is described as good, and the child who does not go to church is labeled as bad.
Oh, this is really bad. Barbie thinks that church is dumb. But Betty, she loves church. She loves learning about the Bible.
When kids are pulled out of school in the middle of a school day and told their peers who are not attending LifeWise with them are going to hell, that they are literally bad kids, what do you think that lesson looks like when those students return to school? How do you think that that would play out between elementary school kids? The following experience comes from a parent in Liberty Benton, Ohio. My Jewish third grader is in his third year having opted out, while the far majority of his class attend. He and the few others remain in a no new instruction study hall on Thursdays, and he quills between the fear of missing out of the candy and cookies that he hears the LifeWise kids discussing, or feeling punished for having to do math and iPad educational games while they are gone, having fun, which he sees as a bust field trip every week. He and I now fight at home every other month or so because in his perception, I've blocked him from going, and why can't I just believe in Jesus like the others for the candy and cookies? This type of othering was our worst fear when choosing to move to the area. We considered moving to Sylvania for a stronger Jewish community, but because both of us would then be daily commuting to our jobs in Findlay, we chose to live here instead. We carefully considered the best local school district based on diversity, with the hope that our kids would be accepted for their religion. We intentionally avoided the Christian private schools in this area. Liberty Benton being a public, not private school, we hadn't anticipated the peer pressure our son would feel to conform to Christianity because of RTRI/LifeWise. There is no other local school option. The other surrounding public schools are all implementing or have already implemented RTRI. So unless my husband and I move away from our jobs in Findlay, RTRI in our public school will continue to identify our kid as an outcast. Another Ohio parent shares her and her daughter's experience. 3-ish weeks ago, my daughter got in the car and was like, "Mom, I think I lost all my friends." I'm like, "Whoa, what? Why?" She said, "Because I said a word." I'm like, "Oh no, what did you say?" She said, "Sin." I'm like, "Okay, so what was the word?" Again, she said sin. She was under the impression that because she said the word sin, she would be going to hell. I was like, "What? No, we are not a religious family," but I explained usually when it's a sin, it's an act, not like saying a bad word. And I explained she's not going to hell, and we moved on. The following day, she got into my car in tears again, and she said she has no friends. I'm like, "Why?" She said, "Because she's a sinner and she's going to hell." The children who are LifeWise members told other students who are not LifeWise members to not be friends with my daughter because she's a sinner and she could or would be going to hell. Kids are coming up to her saying they couldn't be friends with her. She was hysterical. She really thought that she was going to hell. After raising my concerns that following Monday, the teacher messaged back and called and said all the students involved will be talking to the counselor as well as my daughter. She said it won't be happening again. She got in the car Monday after school and she told me that a different child who attends LifeWise continues to ask my daughter to ask Jesus to be her friend. She was doing this the previous week too, but the other stuff outshined it. My daughter told her she can believe in what she wants to believe in, and the child said, "Well, I warned you." Another child who I'm unsure if they attend then told my daughter he was disappointed in her. I sent another message to the teacher regarding the additional comments. Now, weeks later, there is still tension. The same kids who are bullying my daughter have just been mean since. They haven't mentioned religion again, but they have just been mean, and one ended up in a physical altercation on Monday. My daughter loves school, but doesn't want to go when people are being so mean. All these kids used to be friends. The Wednesday before, they were all hanging out together, and then Thursday is when things started. I didn't even connect the two until my daughter said it's LifeWise teaching them that. I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "One of the children told my daughter they told them in the LifeWise class to ask Jesus to be their friends and to have others do the same. They also tried to spread rumors to make my daughter look like the bad one."
Sogol is Methodist and her husband is Hindu. She says she first heard about LifeWise during a fundraising effort to bring the program to the school, but she wasn't interested in enrolling her kids.
And the next thing I knew, my 9-year-old son had told me that one of his friends who was in the LifeWise program told him that he was going to hell because he didn't believe in Jesus.
Sogol's son was confused. She was frustrated.
This is not a Christian nation. It's a nation where you can be free to be Christian or Hindu or any type of religion or no religion.
These are just a few impactful stories that have been shared with us. The reality is this type of bullying, ostracizing, and discrimination is taking place at every school that has been infiltrated by LifeWise in their mission. Thank you for tuning in. As always, you can go to parentsagainst.lifewise.online to learn more or find us on Facebook to join the movement.